Welcome back to the It's Bigger Than Me podcast. I'm your host, Molly Trotter Gomez. You guys, this is going to be such a fun episode. I mean, we already decided the word of this podcast is probably going to be radical. It's going to be radically different, but this time next year when this airs, it's going to be radically different of just all the things when it comes to obedience. And, anyways, I'm so excited to introduce you to my friend Nafsika. Gosh, when I got your message on Instagram that day of like asking for prayer and reaching out, and then I started digging in on your profile, I was like, who is this woman? Like, what is she about? And then I was like, well, I see some mutual friends. I see like there's a bunch of different connections, but I just felt led of like, there's something different here. And we jumped on a call, and she is owner, founder, creator, whatever you want to give yourself a title of an amazing movement that is happening called Praise Pedal. And I have never seen something like this before. And you just know that the Lord is on it. And so we are going to be diving into just this topic of radical obedience, because I would love for you to, first of all, share your story a little bit of who you are, and then how Praise Pedal even came to be, because it took some pretty big, bold steps.
Yeah, thank you so much, Molly. I remember that post that you made on social media, and it was like you were reading my journal, whatever you posted about spiritual warfare or something. And it was like I had just said that morning. It was such a God moment. And that's when I messaged you and I was like, this is like exactly what I needed. And then you came back and were like, what can I pray for? I was like, yes, all of these things. So that was so beautiful. I really appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, a little bit about my story. I grew up in church, but never knowing God. And for all my years growing up, as I got older, I just kind of did my own thing. And I always believed in like my intuition. And I would always like trust something bigger than me, whether that was like the universe, spirituality, God, whatever it was. And when I moved to Arizona 3 years ago, that's really when my walk with God started. I was going through a lot in my life, just deep, what I know now to be spiritual warfare. At that point, I just thought it was depression, anxiety, binge drinking, and eating disorder, like all of these really challenging things that I had tried every other way to overcome them, and nothing was working, or it would work for a little bit and then it wouldn't work long term. And that's really when I like submitted my life to the Lord, and I was like, all right, God, like, and none of these other things are working. If you can help me, like if you could work this out for me, like I would be forever grateful. And that was really how my journey and my walk started, with coming back into my faith after not really understanding it younger. And as I started doing that, and I got baptized and started going to a non-denominational Christian church and building Christian community, I was still searching for purpose. And while I had an incredible life, like from the outside looking in, my nutrition business was taking off. I was traveling all over the world. I was speaking. I like had all the things that my heart could have desired. I still felt empty. And even as a Christian, like even when I submitted to the Lord, I still kind of felt empty because I wasn't fully being obedient, and I didn't know what my purpose was. And as I started uncovering my purpose, I read The Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren, which was such a great foundation for me, that I took that book very seriously, because ultimately I can summarize the book for everyone, but I still recommend reading it. He basically talks about like our purpose on this life is to love God, to be in relationship with him, and to glorify him in everything we do, and bring more people to him. And so I took that very literally, and I was like, okay, that means that every part of my life now is going to be for him, like my social media, my business, like everything I was doing. And at that time, I also was teaching cycling. And so I was like, well, okay, how am I going to make my indoor cycling spin classes about the Lord? And he told me, he was like, you're gonna do these classes for me. And I was like, all right, like, but how? And so that was really where the seed was planted around, how can I make these classes for him? And I started talking to some of my friends about it. They were like, that's a great idea. We definitely come to a Christian spin class. And then I talked to the studio owner, and she was like, for sure, you could host that. So I started getting all of these like open doors and green lights to do this. And that's really how like Praise Pedal just came about. From, I know we're going to talk about radical obedience. That was kind of the first step in obedience, of listening to what he was saying and starting to take action on it pretty quickly, so that I wouldn't kind of get in my head about it. So that's the start of it.
I love it. I mean, it's like when you had that shift of like everything I am doing needs to like track back to you and you need to be a part of it. I mean, I'm sure most people would sit there probably scratching their head, like, how do I do that in like a pedal class? What does that look like? Because when something hasn't really been done before, ever, I mean, I don't know if that's ever really been done. It's
Mhm.
like, what does that look like, right? Like people love the familiarity, but when there's a something to say about the pioneering spirit of like, all right, I'm gonna like step out here and just kind of see where it goes. And you don't have anything to look to the right or the left of like, is there a track record of this? Is there any success of this? And
Yeah.
God's just like, nope, we're just gonna shove you out there and we're gonna see what happens. So talk about taking that step and what did that look like? So I'm sure people are like trying to picture it of what a class would look like.
Yeah. So I knew music, like it's very interesting because when I look back on my life and I look back growing up, and I've taught cycling for 7.5 years before Praise Pedal even started. And so it was a thread of like who I was and my identity, as was music and choreography. So I loved music. It was so like just it's supported me through breakups and depression and highs and lows in my life. Like we all have that music or those songs or those playlists that we go to that support us. And so I had felt that for years. And so as I started listening to Christian music, it was like God was putting the pieces of the puzzle together because I started listening to Christian music that had the beat and the energy of being able to be in a cycling class. And so I was like, I could totally teach a class to this. And also, the more that I was really surrendering to Him and surrendering to my faith, I started going to like worship nights at church. And I started going to like Christian concerts. And I started going to other opportunities where I got to hear the music and see the worship. And then
Mm.
God showed me like you can put the worship, the music, and the workout all together and wrap it in a bow. And that's really what Praise Pedal is all about. The foundation has always been worship and praise. And then the working out, the cycling part, that's just like a side effect of doing it. But if anyone's ever been to a cycling class or even just done a really great workout, you can feel the endorphins and you feel that workout like high afterwards. Like you're in a really good mood, you're feeling happy. It's helping de-stress you. And so there is that like benefit of the working out, but we also know like when you combine that with the spirituality component of it and the soul component of it, it's like nothing that people have ever experienced before, that I had ever experienced before, because you're marrying those two things together.
I love it. And I mean, gosh, we could go on such a rabbit trail when it comes to like the music that you listen to when you work out. Like I have been gutting my playlist and my playlist used to be like just very like hard grind, like get into like it just in it. There was curse words in it. There was all these things to just like push you and keep going, which is a negative reinforcement rather than like I now can catch myself listening to, yeah, praise music. And even sometimes it doesn't have to be like a super upbeat, but it's a beat that gets me going because it's something I'm connecting with. And
Yeah.
so like music matters. Like it will shift your mood. There's a lot of stuff depending on the artist you listen to. We won't get into it that deep. But I
Right.
love that in a cycling class because yes, you want to have it be upbeat. They got to be moving. They got to have some fun with it. It's you want to make it like entertaining, but then we get to glorify God with our body as we work out and steward that temple. And so I'm curious, just from the instructor's point of view, looking at all of the members or the people that are in the class, what have you seen that maybe was different now that you're pedaling like this compared to what you were doing years prior?
This is a great question. So it's twofold. A lot of people that come to class have never taken cycling before. So it's brand new for them. They're just Christians that want to worship, they want to praise, they want to glorify God, and they know working out is good for them as well and good for their health. So we have a lot of people that don't know what to expect. And what I love with that is I had one girl, I talked to her this week, and I was asking her what her experience was like. It was her first time ever taking praise pedal, her first time ever taking a cycling class. And she was like, it was exhilarating. And I was like, oh, that's such a good adjective to use. So for new people, they don't really know what to expect, but they really do enjoy the combination of the worship and the workout, and also the community. Being in a space where you have other Christians all coming together is really, really beautiful. And it's just an opportunity for connection afterwards and before, sharing testimonies, fellowshipping. People are praying over each other. it's a very safe space to do that, where it's like it's like going to church, but you're in a cycling studio. So you have that safe space and connection. And then people who have taken cycling classes before and they're familiar, I do get a lot of people like that as well, who have actually fallen away from taking cycling because of the music, exactly like you're saying, or what the instructors are saying from the podium that doesn't align with their values as a Christian. And I struggled with that a lot when I became a Christian, and then I'm teaching cycling and we're using that kind of music. I'm still was using the secular music. And then, whatever we're saying from our pulpit, which is our podium and our stage and our bike, can sometimes not align or feel good for the Christians that are in there. And you can't control it. Like when you just go to a normal class as a Christian, you don't know what kind of music they're going to play. You don't know what the person's going to say. If there's a substitute teacher and then something else is going on, and we need to protect our minds around that. So a lot of people that have taken cycling and then come here, they just are really excited that they have a place that they know is safe, they know is going to align with their values, and they know that they're going to have an encounter with the Holy Spirit in that moment, and they're going to have time to pray and worship with other believers as well.
Gosh, I mean, talk about like restoration over like exercise. So many people use exercise as a punishment, but you're coming in and restoring not only with the music, but the words spoken in the space itself, and then just this God-given idea, as well as not just like having people from one church that are there. It's like all these other Christians. So you get to like meet and connect, and it's somewhere outside of the four walls of church, even though we can technically do church wherever. It doesn't have to just be in the main church. They get to see like, wow, I didn't know there was this many people like in my area or city are coming to this class. Like there's something so special about that, because sometimes people, I know they get locked into this particular groups, and then they step outside church and like, oh, here's the world. And it's like, there are Christians, there are believers everywhere. And I love seeing just like kingdom, like founded businesses, like rising up and people wanting to be a part of that, because it's like, why did we ever like stop talking about it? Why are we quiet about it? Like the world loves to world, right? Like they love to say, here's what we're going to take. We're going to twist it. We're going to do it our way, and feel free to follow. And people are like the lost sheep will, because they want to follow something. But I love what you're doing in a space where people are probably coming in to typically sweat because I need to lose weight. It's like, this is an empowering class. And then it's only going to just help their mindset grow in such a more fruitful way when it comes to stewarding their body.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I have a big passion for helping the church get healthy. Like pre-praise pedal, my business is in nutrition and helping people get healthy, do detoxes, cleanses, lose weight, whatever they need to do. But one, like when we can focus on our body being the temple of the Holy Spirit and worshiping God through the way that we treat our body, it has shifted everything for me, because our intention or come from our heart really matter. And for years and years and years, like I mentioned, struggling with an eating disorder and all of these things, it was always about what I looked like. It was always about, body image and body dysmorphia, especially as women, and what society tells us how we should look like and all of those things. So even when I was healthy, it was for the wrong reasons. Ultimately, it was making my body an idol and making working out an idol and all of these things, or using it, like you said, potentially as like a negative coping mechanism or numbing or whatever it is. And so I have a big passion for that, which Praise Pedal is a huge mission around. And then also with the church, not to throw shade on any churches, but there are churches that give like donuts in the lobby. And I'm like, listen, I have a big sweet tooth. I love a donut. I love a cookie. Like I'm all about it. But when every single week we're offering that to the people that are coming in, now we're associating like, oh, I'm going to go to church and I'm going to have sugar. I'm going to go to church and I'm going to have a donut. And then even like when we eat those things too, we can crash. So you have a sugar rush and then a crash and all the things. So now you're in church and now you're having a sugar crash, or we're giving that to the kids and all the things. So it's so much bigger, like the movement that we can have through the church with Praise Pedal of offering like healthy alternatives and just making the church healthy in that way is really, really important to me as well. So I love that you touched on that.
Yes, it's so true. I mean, that is a whole rabbit trail in and of itself. It's like the pizza and the donuts, and I get it, like cost effective, cheap, like everybody's on a budget, but at the end of the day, like what is it actually doing, right? Like it's crash. And then are they getting to the message? Or are they actually hearing no, because they're like, conked out because they're tired and they just had 600 grams of sugar or whatever. Anyways, no donuts that much, but we get the point. So I love that you have that mission for that though, because it's like, that is something like so many people have heard it time and time again. of like, I need to be healthy and I need to make better choices. And so I just think Praise Pedal is such a fresh way to be able to bring in something where it's like it's incorporating so many different aspects of health, spiritual health, mental health, physical health, all into one. And I am sure, I think we talked about this not on the show, but outside of the show, that other spin instructors are probably like, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, tell us a little bit about that."
Yeah, it's been such a blessing. Every day I pray to the Lord that he brings the right people to me and that we just get connected in community and that he brings ease and flow into the birth of Praise Pedal, which has been really fun. He has definitely been answering my prayers with that. And I've had a lot of instructors all over. Like I live in Arizona and I've had people from all over the country and all over the world, honestly, reach out to me just being like, I love what you're doing, because they had similar feelings as Christians who were in the worldly, space of fitness and exercise and working out, who they just don't feel like they align with that anymore. And so there definitely is like a need and a gap for instructors to have a safe space to be able to worship, to be able to talk about scripture, to be able to play that Christian music. And unfortunately, even like what you said, the world's going to do what the world's going to do. And a lot of franchises and a lot of places out there don't have a space for Christianity. They don't have a space for Christians. They're not allowing that for whatever reasons they have, polarizing, that people don't want to talk about politics or religion and all the things, right? So they want to kind of be in that gray area and in that safety zone. So definitely have connected with a lot of instructors that have felt the same way that I have.
I love it. It's like it just takes one person to kind of just like spark that fire. And it doesn't mean like there's so many people that will keep that fire for themselves. But just
Yeah.
because you have it and you go share it doesn't mean yours is going to get any less. And you have been somebody that, I mean, for the short time that I've known you, but now I'm obsessed and I'm stalking all the things that you're doing. Yes, we do that around here. It's
Yeah.
like you can't wait to share that fire with other people. You can't wait to like go and watch that spread. And that's why God gave this vision to you to birth, because he knows your obedience. He knows that you are a fire starter, and the best way to help other people just go spread this. And it's shifting the space of fitness, right? It's shifting that space where he gets that glory. And from this, I am sure of it. I can just feel it. Like there's going to be other forms of exercise. They're gonna be like, that's a good idea. I want to incorporate that into my class or what I'm doing or this and that, rather than having it be destructive. We want it to be like empowering to really be able to lift people up. Because I mean, when I go to the gym in the morning, I mean, I can count on less than one hand how many people actually want to be there. They're all like, oh gosh, I'm just going to beat myself up if I don't go. And I'm like, it can be so much more than that. So I love that you're doing this. As we wrap up today, is there any other final thoughts that you'd love to share? And then, of course, ways that people can connect with you, because I'm sure many do.
Okay, so this is what I will say. I was on a podcast a couple days ago and I said the same thing, and it's just God keeps putting it on my heart. So many people have reached out to me being like, I wish I could do something like that, or I love your idea, or I have this idea too, and you're giving me hope and you're giving me inspiration. And like, I love that. And at the same time, for anyone who's listening, I'm like, go do it and take action. We started with radical obedience, and it genuinely hurts my heart and hurts my soul to see people who have these ideas who aren't taking action on it. I get it. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of risk associated. That's why it's radical, right? But God is going to be with all of us when we follow in his steps and in the direction that he puts us in. And so if he's given that on your heart and he's told you to go do that, like start taking action, even if it's little action, just being in those steps of obedience. So that way, when we like pass on this world, we don't like leave with any regrets. Like, I wish I did that, or the Lord told me to do that and I never did it. And I was disobedient and I was scared. Like, we're all scared. I'm scared every single day. I'm like, what am I doing? Seriously? And I have these conversations with God and I'm like, are you serious? Are we really doing this right now? Like, promise me that you're going to be with me, because I'm going on a ledge for you right now. And like, here we go. Those are the kinds of conversations I have with him sometimes, but he's with us. He's never going to forsake us. He's told us that over and over again in his word. And so when we can just continue to lean on his word, lean on Christian community like this one in these podcasts, and Molly and the community that you have, I would not be able to do this unless I had community. Like, I'm not doing this alone because I have the Lord, but also on this earth, I have so many people that are supporting me and so many people that are my cheerleaders, whether they're in my community, whether they're on social media, whether they're just watching from afar. And they support me every step of the way too. So just know that if you have something on your heart, go take action, go do it. God's going to put the right people in your life if you continue to pray that prayer. And so that's really how I want to wrap up and share. And then as far as connecting goes, you can find us on Instagram at Praise Pedal. Super easy. There's also going to be a link to sign up for our email list. All of our communication goes out via email because I know social media can get kind of crazy. So I always message everyone on email first with any exciting updates and experiences that we have. There's going to be so much going on at the beginning of 2025 when you guys are listening to this podcast. So that's definitely the best way to stay in touch.
I love it. I love it. And I just love that your word was like, hey, go do the thing. Go do the thing. This is your confirmation to go do the thing. Like, don't sit there and just like hope and wait and wish and want. It's like, this is your permission to go. And I just love that about you because it's like there are so many people who already have everything that they need. And the only thing holding them back is fear. And what they're seeing in your story with your radical obedience is like, look, I have these moments of like, God, are you with me? I know your word says, but I'm just checking, like just making sure here. And he's like, yes, daughter, I am right here. And he's going to be there with each and every one of you too. So I just love that you just empowered and just like push people forward because it's like, we all admire the ones that do it. Be that next person that somebody admires that did it. And just go for it anyways, because you'll never be disappointed of the chances that you took. You'll only be disappointed of the ones that you said, oh man, I regret that because I should have da, 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 da. Nafsika, I am just so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that we've connected. I am just so excited for what the Lord's going to do. And just thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode. It means the world to me that you would lean in, listen in, and be able to hear the value that's being shared on this show. Don't forget, if you love this episode, rate the show, leave me a review, be sure to share it with a friend, and don't forget to tag me on social media. I will definitely be giving you a shout out. Also, come say hi, drop in the DMs. I would love to be able to hear what stood out to you the most on the episode, and if there's any topics that you would like to hear on the show. We'll see you next time.